Hello, my Black Wallet Media. How you doing today? This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. We want to talk about today, we want to talk about business. Starting a business. And are you ready? Are you ready this year to start your own business? Maybe 2024 didn't end up like you expected it to. I know the ending of 2024, the last quarter, was pretty tough. Maybe your employer downsized, or maybe you're just tired of the 8 to 5 hustle and bustle, or maybe you feel like that you're not reaping the benefits you should reap with the company that you're working for. Or maybe you feel like you can't reach your full potential because it seems like though, your employer is really not concerned about your growth. Or just maybe you have matured to a place now where the realization has set in that it's time for you to branch into the deep. But whatever your reasons are, and for whatever purpose you desire to start your own business, I do want to tell you that it's very tangible. It's something that you can reach, that you can do it. My testimony, nobody ever expected me to be a successful business owner. At one time, I didn't expect myself to be that as well. But I realized at some point that it was time for me to venture out on my own. But first I had to understand and come to the realization what my purpose was and what was it that I had to offer. And I said before, I've done a lot of different things and tried to create a lot of things, and it just didn't work out for me. I tried to own a construction operation. I tried to own a car wash operation. I tried to sell food and run a restaurant. But those things there didn't work out for me because those wasn't the gifts that I really had, although I was good at it. But it wasn't the thing that was me. And first you got to find out who you are. And one day God gave me a blessing when he spoke something into my life when I was seeking for a business. He said to do what you already know. And what I already knew was logistics because I worked logistics all my adult life. From a warehouse standpoint to an office manager and a distribution manager. I learned it all. So when God spoke into my heart, do what I already knew, I thought it was cooking. I thought it was car washing. I thought it was doing carpenter work. But I didn't really know those things. I just learned those things. But what I really knew and what I was really passionate about was the field that I had been into all my life. And it had come to a place and to a point where I wasn't too happy about my occupation. And it ended up being somewhat of a dead end to me and somewhat of an embarrassment. Although it was something that I really liked doing. However, it wasn't what I went to school for. I went to school for electrical engineering. But I ended up learning logistics. Didn't go to school for logistics, but I had experience in logistics. And it became an area in life that I succeeded, that I was successful in. And it also was something that at one time I enjoyed doing. So what happened there? What happened there was after a while being in that field, then that uh, occupation, and that place that I was in, it started to lean toward temporary agencies. And when they started doing business with temporary agencies, then the pay scale went down. Because the same job that they could hire me for at $30 an hour, $40 an hour, they now could scale it down to $15 an hour, which wasn't taking care of my personal needs, of my house note, my family. And then it became a great hustle and a bustle, just trying to survive. So when I began to venture out into business, after God spoke to my heart, say, do what you know how to do, I thought it was cooking. I thought it was washing cars. I thought it was cleaning service and all those things. But when he narrowed it down to my understanding that my business was already in me, do what you already know how to do. And that's what I want to say to you first before we get into the meat of what we're going to be talking about. Your business is probably already in you. That gift is probably already in you, but we're looking abroad trying to find out what should we get into. You may be a mechanic working for a mechanic shop. And you may have worked in that field for 15 years and you went to college for it, or you went to mechanic school for it and you really loved it in the beginning. And then you realize, I'm not too happy where I'm at anymore because it turned into a hustle and a bustle, 8 to 5. And you thought that you didn't like the field that you were in. Or maybe it's time to step out into the deep. Or maybe you have the desire to step out in the deep and own your own mechanic shop. Maybe you're a barber. Same thing. Maybe you're a cook. And you understand the food industry, and you've been in the food industry all your life, and you're really good at it. From customer service to cooking the food, to preparing the menus. Maybe you're in some type of practice, like a lawyer, or you're a dentist, or you're a doctor. Or even you work in the mental field, but you're doing it for somebody else and you really know your craft and you've really perfected it. But you feel like that you're not motivated in this field anymore, or you reached a cap in your life and you just need to do something different. Maybe you don't need to change fields. Maybe you need to step out in the deep and open up your own business. I believe 2025 is the year to step out in the deep. And I want to encourage you that you should do that. Maybe you've decided to go ahead and start your own business. But we want to hit 10 points to make sure that you're ready. Because starting your own business can be very challenging. And a lot of people fail in the first 2 years. And the claim to fame is that if you can reach the 5-year mark, that you can make it. But are you ready? Are you ready to commit yourself to the work? And if you're ready, then I want to give you a 8-point checklist to make sure that you are ready to start your own business. And these are questions that you can ask yourself. And don't allow these questions to discourage you, but use these questions as a checklist to prepare you to be successful. Question number 1 to ask yourself: Are you passionate about solving problems? See, in starting your own business and even starting the business from day one, before it's even a manifested business, there's some problems that you're going to run into in the beginning. Just trying to understand and get the understanding and the wisdom that you need. And creating a business, there's going to be some problems. And even when you launch your business to the first day that you open, you're going to run into some problems. You're going to run into problems with customers. You're going to run into problems with competitors. You're going to run into problems with vendors. You're going to run into problems with staff. They're going to be unseen problems. Things that you didn't even consider. But are you ready? And are you passionate enough about solving problems that can occur? Sometimes they just come out of the blue. And you got to come up with a solution. And the right solution. Are you a person that's passionate about solving problems, day-to-day problems? Sometimes in the business, in the area that I'm in, there's a problem every day. Sometime throughout the day, I find myself having to deal with a problem. And problems, unsolved problems, can ruin your business. And in this day and time, Google reviews can be our friend or it can be our enemy. And problem solving would keep those reviews down to a minimum. Are you passionate about facing your problems head on? Are you passionate about firing if you have to? Cutting back? Problem solving. Step number 2. Do you have a clear business idea? Are you clear about what you want to do? What type of business you want to get in? What is going to take you to launch that business? What about the location? You have to consider that. What's the supply and the demand in this business? Is this business overpopulated? Do you have a clear business plan? Have you sat down? You might have the zeal to start a business, but have you sat down and evaluated everything about your business? Do you have a short goal, short-term goal, long-term goal? Do you have an ideal of your escape plan, your get-out plan? Whether you want to, at a certain time, you want to sell, or at a certain time, do you want to transition into something else? Because some businesses have a life expectancy. I'll give you an example. I got into box trucks, final mile, hot shot deliveries around about the 2010 year, 2008, 9, and 10 is when I launched. Then 2020, COVID hit. Things slowed down, but when we got through COVID, then there was a flood of people coming into the business. So the supply was high and the demand was low because that area was overpopulated. And I had to have an escape plan because I realize now that there's more drivers than freight, and more drivers and more independent contractors than brokers and freight forwarders. Some of us was in the business for 10 years or so or more. Then you had a flood of people that had not the experience that were coming in and just accepting runs for lower rates. And the brokers fell in love with that. So that took the growth of what our business was. It took a decline. And I had to have a business plan of the next thing that I was going to do because I saw that it was time to make a move. And these are things that are unforeseen, and you have to be prepared for it. Understanding that you have to have a clear business idea. And also, that goes back to number one. Are you passionate about solving the problem? Point number three. Are you prepared to learn and adapt? Because in business, no matter what business field you're in, it's constantly growing and constantly evolutioning. And you have to be prepared for that. Are you prepared to study your craft? Are you prepared to stay up late hours and research? Are you prepared to get consultations and some type of education about the craft that you're getting into? And like I said, some of us been in certain fields all our life. And that's the gift that's in us. And that's probably the area where we should start business, and we know a lot. But with technology and with things constantly turning and moving at a fast pace, we have to be constantly turning and moving and learning at a fast pace. And sometimes you just have to change the ways that you're used to doing things. Are you ready and prepared to be able to learn and adapt? These are some of the things you need to consider about starting your own business. Point number 4, very important. Do you have a financial plan? It takes money to operate. You have to understand what your monthly budget would be and how much will it cost you just to operate. Just to open up your doors per month, to pay salary, to pay yourself, to have materials, to pay for networking. I've learned that if it takes you $40,000 a month, you need to have $80,000 a month because you never know what's going to happen. You got to have money put away to be a backup system for you. And then you have to understand also that there's a slow season in every business. Are you prepared? Do you have a financial plan? These are things that you need to know. You need to have your ducks in a row. Even though some things are easy to get into, but I often say it's harder to keep a business going than it is to start a business. And it's really hard to start a business, but you can do it. So I want to encourage you not to be so hasty and not to be so fast to just jump into something, but to take your time Plan a start date. Give yourself a good year to get prepared and to learn your craft, to get proper consultation. Check with the local banks and see what type of loans that you can get. Check with SBA, small business loans, and see if you are a candidate for that. But have a financial backup system. And have you done your research? Have you looked at the ins and outs on the business that you're going to step into? Have you called other businesses such as the one you're going to step into and just ask them questions? And have you done your research? Check things out. Read on it. Ask people in your field that been in that field for over 10 years. And step number 5, are you comfortable? Or 6, I'm sorry. Are you comfortable with taking risks? There's a lot of risks you have to take in business. And some of them can be costly. And in taking some risks, you take some losses. In business, you have to be courageous. You have to be proactive. You have to adapt. And you have to adjust to be successful. Some of the risks that you have to take are financial risks. Sometimes you have to be very frugal with yourself, with your own spending, so that you can reach your goal and reach your potential. When I started my business, I had to sell my house and move with my mother, me, my wife, and my family. Because we knew that there was going to be a lot of risks that we were going to have to take, and we knew that there was going to be a certain amount of finances that we were going to need. And we started at the bottom level. But we had a goal. Our long-term goal was to be in everything logistics, from warehousing to trucking. And thus far, we're still in business, and we made it to that point where we are now in logistics, warehouse, international, domestic, and also local deliveries. But we had to take a risk, and the risk was that we sold our house, we moved in with our parents, and we saved every penny for 10 years so that we could have the financial backing whilst building our credit, so we could have the financial backing to be able to launch and to be able to have finances for at least 3 years. Are you willing to take the risk that it's going to take to be able to be successful in your business? And in doing so, you have to be less motivated about the money, but more motivated about your dream and your desire to own your own business and to build generational wealth. Because if you just focus on the money, you'll run out real fast. And you won't see the future that you have before you. Because a lot of times you don't see the money first. The money is the last thing to come in. Are you ready to start your own business? And these are things that you're going to need to survive. Are you self-disciplined? Number 8, you have to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, your team is not going to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, your team is not going to respect you. And if you're not disciplined, your team is not going to grow. To be successful in your business, you have to put you last and your business first. And as I stated before, sometimes you got to put you and your family last. And you have to have a team around you, a support team that's going to be on board with you, that's going to be able to go the long haul with you. You got to find the right people. Are you ready to start your own business? Make sure you get your ducks in a row. And I believe if you can go over these 8 steps and you find out that all 8 steps apply to you, well, I would like to say it is time in 2025 to start your own business. Let's recap. Are you passionate about solving a problem? Number 1. Do you have a clear business idea? Number 2. Are you prepared to learn and adapt and to change as your business grows? Number 4. Do you have a financial plan? Number 5. Have you done the proper research? Number 6. Are you comfortable with taking risks? Number 7. Are you motivated by more than money? You got to be motivated by more than just the money. And number 8. Are you disciplined enough to go the distance? I think you're ready. I always like to leave a scripture that backs up everything that we're talking about. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established." Listen, when you create a business plan and share it with God, He can make sure that you accomplish it. There's nothing like inviting God into being a part of your business plan. I believe that it's time that you start your business. I want to encourage you to jump out and launch into the deep and take God with you. But make sure that you are ready. Make sure that you've done the inventory that you need with self. And ask yourself those 8 questions. Are you ready to start your own business in 2025? All right, my Black Wallet Media. We'll talk business on the next upload, on the next video. Have a blessed day.